Evening team, hope you're all really well. As you might have heard in my last couple of videos, I managed to sell 2 or 3 boards recently, so as my old man would say, money burns a hole in your pocket, lad. so I was out on the weekend and yeah, I'd been checking this one out before and I was scoping a different board out. I was actually sort of half between this and a JS Black Box 3, but that's another story. Anyway, so this is another little board from our pretty talented local shaper Jay Jackman at Sadhana Surfboards. It's a pretty cool little board. He calls it the Superblob, and it's kind of his take on a fish-inspired shape. So I think the crux of it is he's kept the fairly flat rocker and the wide nose and some of the features of a fish, and he's just changed the tail shape and changed some of the concaves and modernized it to make it into not a fish, which is a super blob in this case. So yeah, really cool board. This was a stock one. It's in epoxy. Jay's been doing some work over the last few years. I mean, he's always done epoxies, but over the last few years I've seen him make some changes with the use of Inegra in them, which is this cross weave top sheet, and for this one he's actually used pretty much like a carbon wrap style strip, so that's yeah, that's pretty cool, and it goes really good. So yeah, the dims on this one are 6/1, 21 7/8 and 2 7/8, and it's running 42.5 litres in epoxy. So yeah, great board, very much my fishy sort of dimensions, extremely usable. Pretty much when I saw it on the rack I was like, it just looked like it was made for me pretty much. The volume was spot on, the width was spot on. It's a similar, it's not unlike like an elongated baked potato or a little bit like a puddle jumper. But it's not like a 5.9. You know, if I was riding I got a chance to buy back one of my old baked potatoes, which I always used to have in my quiver, and but that's a 5.9, and just basically as I'm getting a bit older and everything else, it's it's harder to get those really short boards going. They're good, they pick up waves well, especially the baked potato, that picks up heaps of stuff, but they don't have quite the same trim length and not necessarily the stability of a slightly longer board. So I kind of wanted a similar concept, but just to stretch it out into something that I'm used to. So most of my boards now are basically between 6.0 and 6.4 in a short board, and the feel of them stays fairly familiar if you're not switching like 6 inches up at a time or whatever. So as you notice, big outline, nice wide tail. It's kind of the same. It's got quite a nice back curve though, but it's obviously with this, it's actually a diamond tail. So obviously with this bit of a diamond tail, you're keeping all of that speed and squirt back there. Whereas if you'd hack that out with a swallowtail, you'll get a bit more bite and a bit more of the tail sinking down into the water. So this has got really good acceleration. The diamond tail, obviously, I might do a piece on tail shapes at some point actually, but the diamond tail actually is basically a shortened rail line off a squash tail. So if this was a squash tail, you'd have about an extra inch of rail line there, as you can see, and with a diamond tail it just pulls it in. So he's keeping the squirt off the tail for speed, and pulling the rail line just a bit shorter for manoeuvrability. So as you can see as well, like the rock is really good. I really like the rocker. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's great. There's lots of meat up in the nose, and the tail is actually, it's retaining good surface area, but it's actually nice and sharp in the rail, and actually fins out reasonably well in the rail as well. So I really like that. And then riding this, it paddles great, like really paddles well, even for its volume and its fatness. It paddles fantastic. Even first time I got on it was like great forward projection. Just took off at speed, just keep your center of gravity nice and low, and it's not so highly volume that it's really skiddy and skittish and slides out easily. So I really like that about it. Obviously we've got the good old 5-fin setup here, FCS2. Again, similar to the carbon wrap boards and the other styles of these EPS, you lose the stringer, you use some sort of carbon or other medium to give you that stiffness and spring back that you want in the board, so you're not snapping it in half. And then this Integra top sheet is, I think, is really good at just controlling the flex, but over a large surface area. I think that's what I like about the Integra in the past. And you know, some of it's really science, some of it's gimmicky, some of it's everyone else's take on a similar thing. But at the end of the day, these sort of carbon stringers and the Integra seem to control the flex really well. And I actually think here Jay's done as good a job himself in terms of the ride and feel as some of the guys at the at the high end doing the really flash carbon wraps and the JS hi-fis and stuff like that. It's a little bit it's a little bit different, but it's a beautiful handmade board. Jay's really good at doing customs as well. I've had a couple of customs off Jay, and he's actually hand shaping stuff. He doesn't use a machine, but he does. I've seen him use the CAD packages before, so he's actually got a lot of his boards modelled up, and without the use of a machine, you can ask him for a volume or compare to something else he's got, and he's always done a really good job of giving me like pretty much exactly what I've asked for. So he's, without having a machine and all that technology, and I think he's just like, he knows in his head he adds an extra eighth, and I guess he takes however many less cuts with the planer, and he knows his own shapes really well, and he's developed the shapes over a long time. So he doesn't change shapes like every single year, but he's got some really awesome shapes that he's worked on over years. So yeah, nice work, Jay. And it's really nice sometimes just to get a board that's made by local guys. They're all super friendly, they're all really enthusiastic surfers, and just reminds me as well how well boards made locally can work for local conditions, because say this is a cracking board for the local stuff. And yeah, I've been out on it a couple of times last weekend and caught some. First day was pretty poor and onshore and just little peaky like 1 foot takeoffs, but nothing going on either side. And I had it out in a couple of foot at the weekend and caught waves well and maintained speed well, turned well, went down the line well. So yeah, I'm quite impressed with this so far. And I reckon it's probably, for our local wave that's pretty slow, I reckon we're going to be good up to probably probably a 3 foot wave, so probably like head, maybe a bit overhead when you're on it. So two or three, or maybe even 4 foot where it is locally. In the normal realms, this would be like a board for I'd say it'd be a board for like 1 to 2 or 3 or something in a normal wave with a bit of power. But our wave's quite slow, so this sort of design is actually perfect for it in a mid range. And obviously I've got things like the bean bag that go underneath it. So yeah, and then another thing Jay's really good at is his concaves as well. So what we've got is, I'll come around and show you as usual in a bit, but we've got pretty much flat through here, and then we start running into a single that's about this long, so it's pretty much running where your front foot would be. So that's giving you that, we talked about this in the concave before, so that's straightening out this stringer rocker through the middle, and then as we go out through the tail, it's running a lot of, again, we'll get confused with terminologies, but it's basically, it's a V really, but it's V with a double concave. So we could call it concave V, but if I say double V, I'm basically meaning, anytime I say V, I'm usually meaning that the peak of the stringer line is further into the water than the rail. So this point here is up there. So basically, as we've discussed before, that is allowing this stringer line through the center to stay very straight, because it's gone down here, which is straightening out the line of the board. And then as the tail rocker accelerates, the V is coming up, so that allows this stringer line to stay very straight and the rail line to increase. And we've sort of gone through that in the concave review. So again, what you're getting is you're getting a nice bit of speed on the front foot. All this V that's already there is allowing the board to tip nice and easily side to side. It gives that rail, it gives this rail a bit of a pre-raked or pre-cut engagement. So you've got a nice bitey rail. The double's going to give you some good speed out of the tail, and the V's going to make it basically go rail to rail nice and smoothly and easily, and it does in this board. So yeah, and then as I say, this diamond tail just keeps it a a bit manoeuvrable. So yeah, great board, well done Jay, as always. And yeah, it's really nice to go down and see the guys again and deal with young Harry down there, and come out with a nice little stick that's sort of made for me almost by the looks of it. So fins, I've just been running the controller quads. So you guys have seen those plenty of times before. They're the nice big long swept ones with the upright back. Jay actually recommends the Power Twin, funnily enough, which is a small stabilizer in the big twins, as you've probably seen on my other reviews. I was going to try something like that. I was actually tried the Machado Seaside quads. They went pretty good. I think the Machado Seaside quads are going to be great in the seaside. The couple of really big boards I've tried it in, I sort of feel like there's not enough area in the very back, but the seaside pulls in hard and fins out hard, so I can see them being really good for the seaside, even for guys up to my way. But I'm used to the controllers, and the controllers is a good thing to stick in because I know them so well that I can tell how the board's responding and not what the fins are doing, what the board's doing, because I already know the fins really well. So yeah, I will crank round and show you the bottom contours. Hopefully I can get these angles pretty good for you guys. Okay, so we go, let's get on there. So hopefully I can keep it pretty straight. So pretty much flat up this front end of the board. And then as you come through here, this is probably about where your front foot would be. You should be able to see that we're getting into a single concave there. So you can see just a single arc there. And as we get down the back, you just hit this spot just before the fins, and you'll start to see two arcs, which, as we've discussed, is your double concave. But because we're starting to get this rock as well, that's your double concave and V. So obviously you're seeing here that V staying deeper in the water, and this board is, this V and double is lending itself to wanting to rock easily off the tail. So you imagine you transfer your weight over, it's already wanting to rock over there. So that works really well in this board. So yeah, again, local shaper, and his use of and knowledge of concave to me is as good as anything else I've seen. So, and then yeah, you can see this, the rails not super fat in here. At the tail end, you're sort of thinning down a reasonable amount, so right off where your feet are going to be, you've actually got a good little fin down in rail volume. And then as I say, this diamond tail's coming to a point quite nicely. Nice sharp rails, and yeah, as you can see as well on the bottom, they've used this carbon wrap to basically, the front end is pretty similar to a stringer, and then they're taking this stiffness to in front of your front fin, and then behind there you should have plenty of flex in the tail. So I'm guessing that was Jay's theory behind what he's done with the carbon, because that's on the carbon wrap, obviously it'll wrap around and have the little rail strip as well. But this feels great. So yeah, you got your little I quite like these, not usually a pink fan, but I quite like these little retro graphics. This new logo of Jay's is really cool as well. The Sadhana and the surfer on it in the sunset there, and then you got your green on one side and pink on the others with a retro logo. So yeah, cracking board. That's the Superblob by Sadhana Surfboards. So if you're in New Zealand or Christchurch, go and check out Jay at Sadhana Surfboards, or go and see the team down at the tannery. And he's got some cool stuff in there that even if you go for a look, you'll be stoked. And if you want to discuss customs or buy anything stock, he makes beautiful fish and resin tints, and it's all handmade, and you're supporting your local guys, which I'm happy to be doing again. So yeah, that's it for this one, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully the seaside shouldn't be far off, and there's around those fish retro in the pipeline too. Although I said I wasn't going to be buying so many boards. Yeah. Alright, well, cool guys, we'll see you soon. Cheers.